Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast. This episode features the highlights of the conversation with Stephanie Donahue, a 1997 Van Buren graduate who works in the computer science field and is the America's Workplace Data, Apps, and Workflow Lead for Avanade. The highlights focus on how a typical day looks for Stephanie, how computers were always her career focus, even in high school, the education options people entering the computer science field have, and more. If you want to learn more about Stephanie's career journey, you can always watch or listen to her full interview, and if you find this podcast useful, please share it with someone else who could benefit from it. Enjoy the highlights, and I'll see you here next Monday for a brand new episode. Have a great week.
Yeah, so my day is pretty varied, actually. What's fun about my job is that I hit a lot of different facets of the business sitting at the area level. So, and first, I should probably let you know, I think my title's changing slightly because it's now Americas instead of North America lead. So I work now with Canada, the United States, as well as Brazil. So pretty excited about that. And my day really consists of looking at three different things in the business. So I help with marketing and our go-to-market strategy, and I assist with sales and technical pre-sales. So I work directly with customers. And I also work with delivery. So there's delivery oversight. Sometimes I'm actually staffed on projects in terms of doing IT strategy. So I really hit a lot of different areas of the business. I do work from home, so I'm home probably 60 to 70% of the time. I travel when I'm in front of customers. You can probably see on the screen behind me here. This is my home base, my home office. Friday, so super casual. So that's also a pretty nice thing about working from home is that I can, work in my sweatpants, put a nice top on and go to work every day. So so I work with people all day long though. I'm on calls from 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. most days. I did previously have a global role, so my schedule is all over the place. I used to take calls all well into the evening, which I don't need to do anymore, which is nice. So I have a pretty varied set of responsibilities in this role. So Avanade is a joint venture company between Microsoft and Accenture. And when you say joint venture, people tend to think, oh, you're a startup, right? Because you're kind of this joint company between two. But we've been around for about 25 years. And you can think of Avanade as the Microsoft-focused consulting arm of Accenture. So I'm actually one of the rare people in computer science that was thinking about computers from high school, which sounds super nerdy. I kind of was, right? I was very fortunate that I had a computer in the house growing up. My dad worked for Marathon and was working on a computer every day, and he felt that it was really important for us to have one at home as well. So I was fortunate in that I had that early exposure both there at home as well as we had them at school. And I just really took a strong interest in computers. I had memories of creating HTML websites in my free time. I tore apart an old computer when we got a new one. I wanted to see the insides of it or whatever, right? So when I sat down with my guidance counselor, and I very much remember the conversation, and he said, "You're good at math and science, and we think you should go into engineering." I was like, "That's great. It's going to be computer science engineering," right? I mean, that was me in high school. I was very much headed that direction from the get-go. And I know that's not the case for many people. Many of my peers come from a variety of backgrounds. So it's certainly not a prerequisite today to getting into the field. I wouldn't change anything in terms of the way I got in. I would say, though, I didn't have very many choices when I took this path. So I got into computer science. I started in engineering and I dropped the engineering part of it when I realized that computer science and computer science engineering were the same degree without the extra engineering classes. So for me, I was like, what am I doing in engineering? I love computer science. Let's focus there, right? But other than that, I always think a 4-year degree is a great path for a lot of people, just as a default. Especially if you're not totally sure what you want to do, it does give you a chance to just get out into the world, learn more, and figure out a path. And I think it can be a really great option. If you are a really good student with really good grades and coding is your passion, I think computer science engineering, those are really fantastic professions to get into. The challenging part is that we have a lot of roles within computer science and in the kind of the realm of IT that aren't coding. And I don't think we spend enough time talking about those roles. And you don't necessarily need to have that coding degree in order to go after that path either. Let's say your family just doesn't have the funding for you to go to college. Go out, get a certificate, go play around. There's a lot of tools available online that you can get to, low cost, no cost. Get yourself familiar with coding or whatever part of IT that interests you. Go get interested or go out on the internet and learn. And you can pick up a job that way, right? It might be a longer path for you to go that way. You're not getting hired into the largest organizations with the best recruitment and all of that, but you can definitely get into well-paying jobs with kind of that ad hoc approach of teaching yourself based on lower cost classes online. So there's two things that I think you can do there. And then outside of that, we have business analysts, we have people that go into help desk that have a more infrastructure background, networking, those sorts of things. So you can get into like MIS degrees, which are more in the business school. There's just a myriad of options based on what your interests are. And definitely the focus tends to be on coding. But I can tell you, I have a 4-year degree. I did a lot of coding. And I knew by the time I got to the end of my time at Ohio State that I was not going to code. When I got out of school, that was not my interest. And so I went more of the help desk route and infrastructure and all of that. So the other nice thing I think is that even if you pick a direction, you're not married to that direction. You can always shift within the industry itself too. So lots of options. There's a lot of summer classes that you can take, and even down into the younger grades. If you have younger siblings that are interested in this sort of thing as well, like they have robotics classes for young people that are elementary all the way through high school. There's Girls Who Code. There's things like that where there are definitely, if you go searching, there are organizations that are set up for young people because there's a huge gap in STEM in general, especially for women, but overall, we can't find enough good qualified people. So I say the earlier the better. And if you just look online, there are plenty of classes you can take. There's things online, there are things in person, there are summer camps. But in general, I would say look for the things that interest you, right? Robotics isn't for everyone, but maybe you could find something else that's interesting. And then as you get a little older, 18 plus, you can start to look for internships. And I will tell you that internships were super important for me to very quickly understand, coding was not for me, but I still loved IT and understanding what else was available to me that didn't necessarily get presented to me in the classroom. Yeah, I think the one thing about my career is that I have always done the thing that no one else wanted to do. And that has served me so well over the years. And I don't know, I guess I kind of tripped into that. I maybe somewhere halfway through had a manager who pulled me inside and said, why are you doing this? You're really good at that instead. And I said, well, everyone's trying to do this and I want to prove that I'm as good as everyone else. And he's like, but fine, but you're really good at this other thing. And that other thing happened to be SharePoint. And because of his encouragement, and I did the other thing, SharePoint, based on his recommendation, and still the field that I'm in today with workplace optimization, very much centered around SharePoint, which then turned into Teams, which is now Copilot for M365 and generative AI. Like, it was the best direction that I had ever received. And I'm not sure that I would have made that decision on my own without the proper guidance. And so now I look at that and I say, what's everybody else doing? And then where do I actually fit? And is that actually a better path for me? And that served me very well.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.